stakeholders or people that are interested in being
Yeah.
involved. I think it really helped me get a better idea kind of what was going on. So
Cool.
so
That's
yeah,
good. Like what I really, I mean, to me, what I really, when we first started talking about this, to me, like the slides going down the hill, just trying to take advantage of the terrain. I mean, that's why I'm like really trying to push for the whole shebang, because that would just be awesome to kind of do that. And I think, and then we have basically the gal that was kind of, this was her inspiration and the Downtown Rotary Club. So Julie wasn't able to, you know, Julie can make a presentation to our Rotary Club, and it's cool because she has a special needs granddaughter. She's written a book about it, and she's super impassioned about just having an all-inclusive everything. And it was really, I mean, it's really cool. So I kind of feel like we didn't push that enough in terms of that aspect, but I think that's important.
Yeah, that definitely came across, I think, in the Saturday presentation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is obviously a very diverse community. You have a lot of corporations that have very diverse employees and families here. So it's like, I think that's, I mean, I think it's a great way for us to be able to talk about inclusion. I think that adds, you know, to what, to everything else. So.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I know maybe not everyone feels this way, but I mean, I still think the economy is pretty strong, and there's a lot of money in this valley. And if we just leverage ourselves, it's not that much money. I mean, in terms of, you know,
small potatoes in the ESG.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a $50 billion project, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, I've already approached my buddy at Zoom. So, and I text the wife, and I know, so that's the thing is, to me, is that's where like we've started. And I talked to Johnny about getting a list of, we need to send the hard copy stuff out to people's houses, because then once a couple can see it, they'll inspire, you know. You may have a husband that says, hey, we need to do this, or a wife, we need to do this. If they haven't, I mean, if they don't, they're not privy to any of this stuff, right? It's kind of like Paul's old adage about mailing out the grapevine. Like, we mail out the grapevine, not for the member, but for the spouse.
All right.
Right? Yeah. I think, I mean, anyways. Okay, anything else?
No, that should do it. Also, I see a couple of people here, but we should set up an endowment board meeting kind of right away. Do you want me to do that, Ken?
Yeah, what about like are you guys, is everyone that's here, are they free like on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday is good.
Yeah, I'm available Wednesday. Yeah, I think I can do both, unless it's real early.
Okay. No, so
I mean, we're just gonna do it at 6. At
6 a.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
6 p.m. Okay, I mean, whatever you guys want to do. Do you guys want to meet somewhere, or do you guys want to meet via Zoom?
Zoom.
Okay, but I know that there's one member that he's not going to probably meet via Zoom.
Okay.
You're talking about John? He can.
Fine.
Yeah.
You're talking about John Baker. He can do it on Zoom.
He knows how to. He's done it.
He's got a computer at work.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Why don't you find out what kind of phone John has? And if he has, it actually didn't make a difference. Let's just use like Duo, and Jerry can get him set up on Duo before the meeting, even though Jerry may have never used Duo before. But Duo will work on cross-platform, and once he has it on his phone, it's just a matter of calling him, and then he just answers his phone.
Okay.
Oh.
You know?
He got on Zoom for the Paul Constantino.
Yeah,
but I think his niece or somebody.
Yeah, they did it at work.
Yeah.
He's got a computer that's.
Yeah, he did it at work, but it was his niece's computer.
PM, he's through with work.
Okay, let's tentatively plan on Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and then we'll figure out the logistics.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Jerry,
He
you good with
has
that?
the ability, let's not go back and forth. He has the ability.
Yeah.
Put it on his calendar, call him, personally speak to him, and he'll make it work
And,
or
and
figure out a
Greg,
way.
are you good for that time? You have to teach or no?
No,
No, I think I'm done by 6. So
Okay, all right, then we're good. Okay, Tuesday.
Rebecca, are you good for that time too?
No, I'll follow up with the minutes. I have a hard deadline. Sorry, I'm on mute, but I have a big contract that I'm finishing by Wednesday, so.
Okay,
Unless you're gonna pay my bills, I'm gonna say no.
all right, great. Okay, so with that, why don't we go to our speaker today?
okay,
Um,
I'm in the Rotary.
Her name is,
Drive careful.
what's that? What? Gary, Greg, I'm going to mute you. Greg? Okay. All right,
You don't
we're
even
going to
tell him,
start
just do
our.
it.
Yeah, I know. We're going to start our speaker today. Her name is Casie Kifer. I knew her in a past life. We used to work together. At least I think we did. But now she's a San Jose-based communications consultant. She's a urban planner and explorer. Her work has been featured in Delta Sky Magazine, National Geographic Travel, For Doors Travel, Thrillist, and on the website of the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority. And then when she's home, you can find her seeking out interesting food and cultural experiences and hiking the South Bay's many parks and open spaces with her husband and rescue shelter dog, Riley. So you can connect her on her website, which is everintransit.com. This is her book. It's one of those books you look through and you go, oh, I'm going to go visit that place. So Cassie, you can share the screen now if you like.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for having me. Thank you for the invite, and thank you guys all for the work that you do, the important work that you do in our community. Oh, sorry, I'm doing the wrong share link. But yeah, I actually live near downtown San Jose, near the downtown play garden, and it is really a wonderful asset for families in our community. So I'm excited that you guys are working on building one down in your neck of the woods. So yeah, so thank you again for the invite. I'm here to talk about my book, Secret San Jose, that Brian shared with you. It came out this past September. It's in stock right now at all of our local independent bookstores, including Hickleby's up in Willow Glen, Recycle Bookstore on the Alameda and in downtown Campbell, and at Books Inc. in Campbell, as well as other major retailers. I also sell it on my website, secretsanjose.com. I set up a special coupon code for you folks that'll be good for the next week. So 10% off and free shipping. I'm actually delivering most of the San Jose area books myself. I delivered Brian's to him the other day. But if you use that,
Yeah.
I'll be bringing it to your house today or tomorrow. But yeah, so so Secret San Jose is an unconventional travel guidebook featuring more than 85 unique stories about our community, places to visit, and things to do. In addition to some of the quirky and unusual stories, or the weird, I tried to share interesting stories that share how San Jose came to be and highlight the contributions of people and organizations who aren't usually recognized here in our community. When I took on this project last year, I could not have expected the world that this book would launch into. With the pandemic shuttering so many things in our community, California's worst fire season ever, and everything else that's been going on. But frankly, the book couldn't have come out at a better time. A lot of the stories that I included in here are pegged to places that you can visit and appreciate safely outdoors. So in the midst of a very challenging year, with all of us staying home a lot more than usual, it's a great time to learn about and appreciate our local community. So I wanted to share just a couple of the stories with you folks here today. I picked out 3 that I thought might be of interest to you folks. So the first story I wanted to share is called On the Trail, or what US National Park site is right outside of San Jose? So who knows what national park site do we have right here in the South Bay? Right outside of the San Jose border, right very close to where you folks live, I believe.
Quicksilver Mine.
Nope, that is a great historic site and a beautiful county park, but yeah, I don't think it's in any way recognized by the National Park Service.
Is it Caldwell Park or is that a county?
Calero, you mean? That.
No, Caldwell or whatever.
Cowell.
I think it's a county.
Cowell. Oh, Cowell. Oh, yeah. Cowell's a state park. No. Yeah. So this national park site is the Arrowhead Trail at Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve. So this trail at this preserve right just south of where you folks live on the way to Morgan Hill is part of the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail. This is a 1,200-mile federally designated route stretching from Nogales, Arizona to the Bay. And it marks the path traveled by Spanish officer Juan Bautista de Anza to build the first non-native settlements in Northern California. So this momentous journey led to the founding of the Pueblo of San Jose, California's first city, the Presidio of San Francisco, and the Catholic missions in San Francisco, Santa Clara, and Fremont. So over the course of 8 months, from the fall of 1775 to the spring of 1776, Anza led 240 settlers and more than 1,000 head of cattle across the deserts on foot and on horseback. The group was said to be 1 mile wide and 3 miles long. Every single night, they set up camp and the next morning packed it all in to head out on the path all over again. One thing to note here was that more than a third of this group traveling across the desert were children. We're in a pandemic. A lot of families, maybe here, have been doing road trips this year. Can you imagine traveling for 8 months with your kids in a van and the comforts of rest stops and hotel rooms? Now imagine doing that trek on horseback through the desert and in the heat of the summer sun, even while pregnant. There was actually only one death en route. Maria Pinuelas died from complications during childbirth. She delivered the baby just fine. The baby survived, but she unfortunately did not. So back to this pretty picture. The group was a diverse mix of Native American, European, and African heritage, and it included some of the earliest settlers to San Jose, including Manuel Gonzalez, who was an Apache Indian who served as the second mayor of San Jose. If you're familiar with what's often called the Peralta adobe in downtown San Jose on the grounds of the San Pedro Square Market, that adobe house, which is San Jose's oldest building, was actually built by Manuel Gonzalez in 1797. Peralta bought the house from Gonzalez. History San Jose, who owns the property, is now calling it the Peralta Gonzalez adobe to recognize the pioneer who built it. So after that group arrived in the existing military presidio at Monterey, most of the settlers camped there while Anza and a small group of Spanish officers and priests carried on towards San Francisco to identify places for this new Northern California military encampment, the new missions and residential settlements. On March 24th, 1776, the group hiked into the Coyote Valley, just south of San Jose, and set up camp on the banks of the Llagas Creek in what's now the city of Morgan Hill. So their first view of what would become San Jose, America's 10th biggest city, was along this path that stretched north through the Coyote Valley. So as no land from Anza's actual path is now publicly owned, in 2015, the US National Park Service certified the nearby Coyote Valley Open Space Preserve as an interpretive educational site for the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail. Visitors hiking this preserve's 4.1-mile Arrowhead Trail can see signs telling the story of this journey, protected landscapes full of native plants and wildlife, and broad views of the valley that Anza and his team traveled through. These photos here were taken on one of the Anza Trail history hikes that the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority used to organize pre-pandemic. You can, while they're not doing the organized tours right now, they may be coming back soon. They're looking for ways to organize small group events outdoors on hikes like this. So these may be coming back soon. So check the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority's website for more information about that. But you can hike it on your own, go out there and see signage to learn about this really momentous journey in California's history. And then finally, if you want to see the spot where the Anza party actually camped that first night in the Coyote Valley, there's a marker for that about 9 miles south of the preserve along the Llagas Creek. This is on private property, but it is publicly accessible. It's next to the Woodland Estates Mobile Home Park and Santa Teresa Boulevard. So if you park near the Mobile Home Communities Clubhouse, you can then hike west along the creek until you reach this monument at the trail's end. So this was placed by the Morgan Hill Historical Society in 2015 to mark this site where Anza's trail camped. So the second story I wanted to share, some of you may know, is called 1,000 Drinks, or how did San Jose come to be California's first state capital? So San Jose was California's first civil community or non-military, non-mission related town in the Spanish colony of Nueva California. It was founded, as I said, by settlers from the Juan Bautista de Anza party who came north from Arizona to settle in the Bay Area and found the military encampments in the Presidio in San Francisco and all of the missions here. The town of San Jose was originally called El Pueblo de San Jose de Guadalupe. And the community was originally founded on the banks of the Guadalupe River, up near where the Santa Clara County Civic Center complex is right now. But they found really quickly that area flooded too much. So a few years later, they moved their homes to higher ground, closer to downtown San Jose. And as I mentioned before, the oldest remaining building from that time is the Gonzalez Peralta adobe built back in 1797. And you can see that at the San Pedro Square Market. But San Jose was also designated as California's first state capital due to some lobbying efforts by San Jose-based delegates to the California Constitutional Convention in Monterey. The first California state legislature met in an adobe hotel on the 100 block of South Market Street that was donated for use by Delegate Pierre Saint-Séverin, who was a French settler and the first producer of sparkling wine here in California. That first legislative session was held during a really miserable and rainy year back in 1849. That winter, 36 inches of rain fell on the city, leaving a muddy mess along the road between downtown San Jose and the port at El Viso, which was the main access point at the time to San Francisco and all points north. The roads were so bad that at the opening day of this legislative session, only 6 state senators were able to make it into the new capital city. This terrible weather and flooding was actually the reason senators voted to move the capital out of San Jose in the next year. So we're not used to, flooding and, we're not used to seeing this, San Jose talk about a terrible weather, but the actual environmental landscape of San Jose was very different back then than it is today. All of the areas that we know as downtown San Jose and the towns along the bay were naturally wetlands, and they were really very prone to flooding at the time. Over the next 200 years, we drained almost all of that natural landscape. So now it doesn't flood that often, but we have ruined in the process a crucial habitat needed by some native wildlife. If you're interested in that, I do go into some of that and a few other stories in the book. But back to that first Congress. One of the representatives at the time was Senator Thomas Jefferson Greene. Greene was born in North Carolina and spent some time in Texas for a while before moving to California right before the gold rush. And he represented the Sacramento area. He was responsible for one notable achievement. He sponsored the bill that created the University of California at Berkeley. But beyond that, he is more famous maybe for liking to drink. The Gold Rush era senators at the time were known to be a drunken and carousing lot. But Senator Green was the instigator of much of this. He kept a hidden keg at the Capitol building for midday breaks. And he looks very serene and sober in this picture, but he was kind of a wild guy. And famously, he was known by all of his colleagues and everyone in San Jose at the time for his end of day calls. Well, boys, let's go and take 1,000 drinks, or let's have a drink. Let's have 1,000 drinks. So it was always 1,000 drinks because just one wasn't enough. But yeah, for this reason, San Jose's first Congress became known forever as the legislature of 1,000 drinks. And today, you can actually see Senator Green's famous words immortalized and engraved on the ground at the Circle of Palms, which stands on the site of that first Capitol building.
Oh,
So this is right outside of you can see the San Jose Museum of Art in the background, and to the right of where we're looking right here is the Fairmont Hotel. So that circle of palm trees where the ice skating happens every winter, that was the site of California's first legislative session. And I think a lot of people might walk by this and never notice these words hidden kind of in plain sight in the pavement there. Let's have a drink, let's have 1,000 drinks. So if you're ever over there, please check that out. And then two other things I wanted to point out real quick are the historic marker at the site of the original Pueblo de San Jose settlement. This is over near the County Civic Center complex at 151 West Mission Street. It's just kind of hidden in the county buildings there. So if you're ever over there, you can see that up behind the main county building on Heading Street. And also you might recognize San Jose's old county courthouse pictured here. This is across from St. James Park at First and St. James. This was originally built in 1868 and intended to be California's state capitol building in an attempt to lure the capital back to San Jose. This attempt failed. So instead, Santa Clara County took the building over and used it as our county courthouse. Yeah, that was supposed to be the California state capitol building when it was built. But yeah, and the last story, because I think we're running out of time, is about secrets in the stacks, or what strange features are hidden at the Martin Luther King Downtown Library. So I don't know if folks here have been to the big main downtown library in San Jose. This is, at first glance, it seems like any other big city library. But if you look a little bit closer inside the library, you'll find dozens of strange things, such as mirrors hidden behind stacks of books, rows that greet you with the mysterious sound of pages turning, and even a secret trapdoor. All of these treasures are just a few pieces in a collection of conceptual art called Recollecciones, which means memories, created by an artist, Mel Chin. This project discreetly integrates 34 different weird and wonderful works of art into the library, hidden in plain sight, adjacent to book collections that are relevant to the theme. While the library is not open just yet, it will be soon. The library is looking for ways to get people in it soon. So I wanted to share some of these unexpected works of art here, including some of the words of the artist, that the reason for these works of art, or the inspiration here. So the first, this one I really like, is called Self-Help Mirror. And these are a series of mirrors hidden behind the books in the self-help section that, in the author's words, give us another perspective with which to reflect on ourselves if we dare. So if you just push these books to the side, you'll see these quirky mirrors hidden behind the books there in the self-help section. Another work to the left here is called Fiction Fiction. And just like all great mystery novels, the San Jose Library boasts a secret rotating bookcase. On one side of the shelf is stocked with faux mystery books, and the other with current popular fiction titles. Can you tell the difference between the real fiction and the fake fiction? So this is in the new fiction section when you first enter, the first room you come to when you enter the main floor of the library. Off to the right here is a piece called Underground Books. And beneath certain book stacks located all throughout the library, lie underground vaults holding books that have been banned, burned, or otherwise intentionally set aside in history. So I found this book about the writings of Galileo buried in the astronomy section of the library. So this next work is called Migration, off to the left. Butterflies are a symbol of migration, and you'll find dozens of tiny butterflies gathering on the ceiling above various Latin American authors throughout the library. Now, this work of art acknowledges the contribution of these authors and further reinforces the concept of circulation of both of books and of knowledge as a major goal of any library. In the middle, that table right there with that beautiful view over downtown San Jose is a piece called Tectonic Plates. And this is a collection of 5 functional reading tables located adjacent to the geology section. And these 5 plates map the shape of the major continental plates on Earth. The granite of each table was actually quarried from the continent that it recalls. The tables are on casters, referring to the tectonic activity of the Earth's surface, which is so evident here in California. And these tables can actually be brought together, into one contiguous plate, or they can be moved apart so that students at the library or folks reading or doing research can use them individually. And then over here to the right is a roundup, or 81 leather chairs, each marked with one of the 43 family cattle brands of the original San Jose ranchos. So these leather chairs range freely through the library. They started out just on the 2nd floor, but over the years, they've migrated throughout the library. So you'll see them scattered around amidst the library's regular plastic desk chairs. So pre-COVID, you'd go into the library and you'd see rows of students sitting at the desks studying there, or members of the public sitting there. And they had no idea that they were sitting in a work of art that had a statement on San Jose's local history. A gong and scale. This is a hand-hammered brass gong designed after the San Jose scale, which was a parasite that nearly destroyed the fruit orchards of the areas in the 1880s. Chinese laborers were wrongly blamed for this pestilence, which led to one of America's first labor strikes right here in San Jose. And this work is located adjacent to the agriculture section. And then finally over here to the right is a piece called Steinbeck's Fisher. And this is a diorama at ankle height located within the exterior walls of the John Steinbeck collection. And John Steinbeck described the process of rediscovery as follows. A young, inquisitive, and original man might one morning find a fissure in the traditional technique of thinking. Through this fissure, he might look out and find a new external world all about him. So this fissure or diorama along the floor here contains soil samples from the Oklahoma to California path of migration outlined in Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath, as well as artifacts from the University Steinbeck collection. So this is a piece that you could walk by 100 times and not notice that there was this little diorama at your feet that actually contained soil from all across the U.S. Marking this path of migration that was talked about in the Grapes of Wrath. So these are just a few of the unusual works of art that you can find hidden in the library once it reopens. I think it would make a fun scavenger hunt and something to do with a family or with the little kids. You can find a guide to this collection on the library's website. In the pre-COVID days, the library offered free weekly guided tours to check out this installation. But my guess is those guided tours indoors are not going to be back for a while. So definitely add this self-guided library tour to your post-pandemic bucket list. Yeah, so that was, I think that was about all we had time for, but I hope we do have some time for questions or other stories or San Jose secrets that you all want to share.
Okay, I have a question though. Why don't you tell them about the Painted Ladies restaurant, sandwich shop?
Okay, yeah, so that is a really interesting sandwich shop that is right in downtown San Jose near the Civic Center that we talked about. And this was owned by a woman. This is owned by a woman and her husband. They founded it about 40 years ago. And she was a member of the Follies. I'm forgetting the name of this famous dance company in Paris, and Follies Bergère or something like that. She was a member of this dance company and traveled all around the world performing. And she lived in Hollywood for a while, and her father owned a very famous restaurant in Hollywood. And so she had this kind of glitzy lifestyle. She came back to San Jose and settled down with her husband, and they eventually started a sandwich shop, a sourdough sandwich shop downtown. And she's an artist. She takes out, nowadays she takes out her performance or her artistic intent by painting. And she has filled this restaurant with all of these different paintings that she did on a really broad mix of subjects, from very patriotic imagery to kind of like puppies and kittens and things that are really cute, and landscapes, to some that are kind of pinup girls. One of the photos that I took that I included in there was actually edited out by by my editor because it showed too much skin. But it's a really interesting place. It's kind of a dark, it's quirky. It looks like the decor hasn't changed except with the addition of new pieces of artwork that she's created and filled throughout the restaurant. She also is actually famous. I forgot to mention. She created a painting, a portrait of George H.W. Bush, and presented it to him, and I think was actually invited to the White House to give the painting to him, as well as portraits to both of the Clintons that she delivered to them. So so I think that's an interesting place. If you're ever up in downtown San Jose, it's a great place to go, and restaurants, of course, need our support for takeout right now. So
Yeah, it's good food too.
very good food. Oh yeah, Brian, you used to work across the street, so
Yeah.
you know that place well.
What's the name of it?
Yeah.
Sourdough Eatery, it's called. Yeah, and it's an old brick building, just kind of labyrinthine. I think you go in and they have lots of different rooms, and like a cat that roams around, the restaurant Cafe Cat, and artwork covering every single wall.
Wow. And is it open now?
Yes, it is open now. Yep. Yeah, for
They have a lot of
lunch.
they have a lot of
they
open
open
food.
early, so I don't think they're open for
Yeah.
dinner.
Yeah, it's just lunch. Okay, anybody else have questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So thanks for the presentation. So what's the benefit to making that area a national park? I mean, do they financially get a whole lot more money, or what is it?
I
know what I
I don't think they got financial recognition for it, but it definitely, they promote it as an educational. This is part of California's history. This is an important part of California's history that they wanted folks to be able to learn more about. So by being recognized on this, that does bring additional tourists into the area, presumably, but as well as just being a destination for folks across the bay to come learn about this part of our history. So what actually led, who were the people that came, and traveled here at great length, and founded the town that we know of as San Jose now, and so much of what's in San Francisco. So yeah,
Okay.
they did events pre-COVID. They did events, and I think the National Park Service interpreters would come out for some of the events. But yeah, and there's also they also do an annual at the anniversary of Anza's arrival in San Francisco at the Presidio. They do an event there, which the Presidio in San Francisco is again also part of this Anza trail.
Okay.
Did open space buy the land, and then it
Yes.
was made into a federal park? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So it was previously Open Space Authority land that they had protected, then they gave it this designation. So yeah, it's not technically a national park. It's not managed or operated by the National Park Service, but it's recognized by the National Park Service. The National Park Service has I think something like 500 other designations for lands and historic monuments that are not specifically the national parks that they actually manage. Yeah, this is one, these national trails. I think there is also a Lewis and Clark Trail and like a mission trail through Texas, I think that's recognized. So there are various historic paths across the US that are also designated in a similar way.
Like Route 66?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure. That's,
Okay,
that's a good question, actually. I don't know whether that has a national park designation.
Yeah.
Yeah, if folks are interested in the book, like I said, my website is listed here, secretsanjose.com, and the coupon code for folks here in your group is AV Rotary. If you enter that, that'll give you free shipping and 10% off of the book. But definitely also if you're going near one of our independent bookstores, they need the support right now too. So you can either buy it from me or from them. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Hicklebee's is open.
Any more questions? What was that, Ken?
Hicklebee's is open.
Hicklebee's is open.
Oh,
Yes.
Hicklebee's is.
Are they open to actually go in right now? Last I saw, they were.
Yeah.
But you can actually walk in. Awesome.
Yeah, apparently my wife and daughter went in there, what, 3 days ago or something?
Oh, perfect.
But it was like a couple people in, and then you still have to go around the back to try pick up or whatever.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
back entrance, that was what they were asking. Because I've been
Yeah.
ordering books from them and then picking them up at the door the last couple months. I'm glad to hear they're back open and indoors right now. Awesome.
Yeah, I think this is a great book especially for Christmas, to give to people. If you have friends visiting you, and here, take this book and go search. You don't have to take them to places. So.
Yeah, people are always saying, what is there to do in San Jose? I'm like, well,
Yeah.
Here's some.
When you guys open up your house for Airbnb, you just leave a copy in there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a great idea. I've actually been meaning
great idea.
To reach out to Airbnb hosts. But totally.
So
that's a good idea.
So what about the hotel? What is that out there? The Hayes Mansion. Do you have anything to do with that?
The Hayes Mansion. I did mention that in the book, in a chapter about our local ghost hunter group. The Hayes Mansion is actually is thought to be haunted. Eleanor Chenoweth Hayes, I'm forgetting her first name. Chenoweth Hayes was her last name. She was at the same era of Sarah Winchester. She was a contemporary of Sarah Winchester, and she was thought to, she was known to hold, to believe in the paranormal, and thought to hold seances in the house there. So, and there's also right immediately adjacent to that is the former Frontier Village, which some of you folks may remember. This much loved park that was kind of inspired by Disney World. This Western themed theme park that was there for many years. There's a really interesting but quickly decaying art exhibit, which is a series of bird houses in the park that is there right now. And these bird houses are mark points, buildings within the old Frontier Village property. So, and the different rides that people loved. So they built these replica bird houses to attract native wildlife, as well as to mark the sites where some of those rides and famous attractions at Frontier Village were. That's called Edenvale Park, is the name of the San Jose City Park that is on that site right now.
So I have a quick question about your background.
Yeah.
Has your family been here a long time, or were they developers? Because it seems like your last name is Rhodes in just about every town in the Bay Area.
Oh, my last name is Kifer.
Yeah. Which is
Kifer Road. That's a really good question because I don't know those Kifers.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not from here. I've lived here for about 15 years. I moved here after grad school. I grew up on the East Coast in Pennsylvania and moved to Southern California for grad school at UC Irvine. I was down there for a few years and then moved here afterwards. And I've been here ever since. But yeah, I see San Jose, as kind of
Santa Clara, Sunnyvale. Yeah, there's all over. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I've been curious about that because Kifer is an uncommon name and an uncommon spelling. And there is that road in Sunnyvale, but I need to investigate.
Well, and before he passed, we had what's his name? Lester. Ray Lester was in our club, and they've been in the valley for a long time. Their names all over. Yeah, like at the park on Snow, and then down off of Bailey.
Yes, exactly.
Big farmers all over. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a beautiful, beautiful place. That park there is really wonderful, and the little museum at Marshall Cottle Park is really beautiful. So wonderful place to learn about our agricultural heritage.
No ball fields though.
No.
That was this. That was a stipulation in donating the land. No ball fields.
That wasn't Ray. That was his cousin or
No, but I gotta
brother
assume they
or-
weren't very good in sports.
Yeah, I guess so. Can you just talk about one more thing? How about the no waffling? I found that one was really interesting.
No waffling. Okay. Oh yeah. So that was a story. I don't know if you folks know, but Eggo waffles were invented right here in San Jose. So yeah, the family that made it, they've been making waffles here. He came up with the idea for these quick to make, quick to heat up, mass-produced waffles back in the 1930s, I believe. And they bought a property on, if you Google it, Eggo Way, up near San Jose's Little Portugal area, near Julian and the 101 is where this is. But yeah, there's still to this day a Kellogg manufacturing plant there, and they still manufacture, I think 15. I reached out to their PR company, and they're very tight-lipped about what they do there.
It's a secret.
It is a secret. It's a secret. They wouldn't tell me anything. And they're gated. They're kind of like a, you can't get anywhere near the
They used to do potato chips.
Yes, exactly. They actually started out manufacturing potato chips, and then on a similar machine, they repurposed the machine, I believe, to make waffles. And then sold to the Kellogg's company. So, but they do.
And it's the same family that owns Classic Car Wash.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, really?
So the Dorsa family. So Frank,
Oh, really?
Frank
Oh,
Dorsa
yeah.
Sr.
Frank Dorsa Sr. Yeah.
was him and his brother were the ones that created Eggo waffles. Frank Dorsa Jr. and his wife, Frank Dorsa Jr. is in his 80s now, I think. They own the Classic Car. Frank Dorsa Jr. is the one that cultivated the chickens over at Robertsville. Robertsville Car Wash, yeah, same family.
Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't realize they still had family heritage here, and that they were still family members.
Yeah, but that's a great little tidbit, that Eggo, the whole Eggo thing is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, and there is in San Jose's Little Saigon area, and in the Vietnamese community, there's a popular snack food in Vietnam that is actually really popular in Vietnamese bakeries in our area, and that is like a pandan waffle, and it's a coconut pandan waffle, and it's flavored with pandan, which is some kind of a Southeast Asian herb, and it has a bright green color. So if you ever go into any Vietnamese bakeries or just sweet shops or coffee shops in the Little Saigon area of South San Jose, this is a very common treat that people line up to order these bright green waffles that are served plain. And because they have coconut milk in them and coconut oil in them, they're really moist, so you don't have to have anything on them. But that's really a popular local snack food in a lot of these Vietnamese bakeries. So that's worth another local waffle to check out.
Okay, great. All right. Any more? Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Great.
Cassie, it was
Yep, that was
great.
good.
Yeah, it was really good. I already bought a book. I'm probably going to buy a couple more, give them to my kids. and maybe prepare to turn my house into an Airbnb. Anyway, thank you very much, Cassie, for coming in, and I'm glad we got to have you speak to our club.
Great. Yeah, if anyone has any
Okay.
questions, definitely reach out to me. And yeah, happy to talk more about San Jose history with anyone.
Right. I'll send out an email to everyone about the code and all that stuff too.
Great.
All right.
Well, thanks, Brian. Well, I'll hop off now if you guys have additional.
Sure.
business. But thank you so much for having me. It was nice to talk to
Great,
you.
thank
All
you.
right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. So,
Good speaker,
all
Brian.
right. So, yeah.
Greg, I
she's
still have
great.
your keys,
Yeah.
Greg. I still have your keys.
Yeah, I know. I got the vacuum here.
Well, you're like right next to each other. Do you guys have to talk at our meeting? Oh,
I don't know if
No,
Ken's
I'm
here.
at my
Is-
house. I'm
Yeah,
at my
you're not-
house.
oh.
I
This is
have
like-
an office I don't get to go to.
This is like the Bat Cave over here. He made Shannon help him move in on her day off.
Well, I think what he's getting at is y'all have each other's phone numbers. You could
Yeah,
contact.
but I don't
each
want to talk
Right.
to him outside of here.
I'm just pleased Johnny G woke up from his nap.
And I'm
Yeah,
happy
Johnny,
to
how
see
you
that
doing?
Miles' computer is here too.
Yes, and Miles.
It's interesting.
Great.
Very good program, Brian.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you. All right. And so don't forget about next week. We have Mike Trudeau's tribute. And then Tuesday, 6 or Wednesday, we'll have a meeting. I'm going to talk to Olson and some other people and make sure we can do this. And somebody's going to talk to Baker, right?
I'll call him this afternoon.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys. Good
Brian.
luck, Rebecca.
Bye.
Thanks, Brian.
God, I feel like